Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Well, I've been a bit nostalgic lately in talking about things that I've experienced and done, and I saw in the news that the last Sanity store is closing down, or the last Sanity stores are closing down. This made me kind of sad. I mean, I grew up in the era of, CD and record stores. Now, I didn't have one in my hometown, of course, not in Georgetown, Tasmania. We had, I think, Book and Disc. It was a tiny little store. No, that's not true. We did have a little store. And basically what you'd have to do is they'd only have a small amount of items, and you basically have to go to the catalogue and order what you wanted. In a couple of weeks they'd have it. And that was the record store or the video store. That's where I bought my first videos, where I just happened to find Madonna videos there because she was one of the few artists who had a collection of videos that were available. And because I guess once I bought one, they thought, well, there's someone who's going to buy the Madonna one, let's get the next Madonna one. So they always seemed to have Madonna there for me. And that's all we had. And it wasn't until I went to the city when I was a little bit older that I saw like Allen's Records. And that was kind of amazing, like a whole record store. Actually, the first record store I saw was in Burke Street. There was a record store in there. And I went there when I was a kid. And I remember seeing a CD for the first time and trying to open it like I thought, because they were closed. And I thought it was a double cassette case. And it was actually a CD case with a thing around it, and they thought I was trying to break into it or something because they didn't know what it was. I was really little. So yeah, that was the first thing I saw. But then later I saw Allen's and that, and then when I moved to Melbourne, of course, we had HMV and eventually JB Hi-Fi. And JB Hi-Fi sort of became the dominant sort of video, DVD, record store and sound. They also sold sound equipment and TVs, and they sort of did everything. And they sort of took over. They squeezed some of the smaller ones out, and then we ended up with them quite dominant for quite a while, and everyone went to JB Hi-Fi, and I went there every week pretty much. That's where I'd end the day, after the day of shopping or socialising or whatever, I'd end up there because they'd normally be open till like 9. And I'd get my videos for the week or DVDs for the week or whatever, and I don't think I ever got videos from there now I think about it. They were very much the DVD era. And I don't know, it's pretty great though, because it's just like the libraries. It's like you just have these walls of things in front of you that you get to look at and read the backs of them and work out what they are. And it's not the same as streaming. It's just not the same. I don't know why. There's something about going into the environment and going into the space and physically picking things up and touching things and buying them and owning them and possessing them and them being important, whereas now everything's just throwaway. You watch it, you rent it, you preview it, you screen it, then you forget about it, basically. Film, TV and that, there's so much content now between all the, shows and movies that have sort of collected over the years and amassed over the years to the new amount of content being created purely just to keep people streaming and paying for streaming, because no one has their own video libraries anymore. Because that's the thing, you used to collect your own videos. It started kind of with Star Trek and Doctor Who. They were sort of some of the first shows and first movies that sort of had sell-through and retail videos that people bought. I think one of the first ones was Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. And once people got into that, then Star Trek was huge. You'd go into like the video section at any of these big stores, and there'd be a Star Trek section, particularly once Next Gen Deep Space Nine got going. There'd just be rows and rows and rows of Star Trek title after Star Trek title after Star Trek title. There were so many of them. There were hundreds in the end. It was great. And then they all slowly faded away and disappeared. It was very sad. They were replaced by DVDs, which didn't have the lifespan that videos have, because videos, you could torture those things and they would still play even if they were static and noises. You could still watch the movie on some level. DVDs, once I had a couple of scratches, it'd just stop, pause, cut out, jump to the end, and they didn't have the longevity that video had. So rental didn't last. Sell-through, it came more about retail and sell-through who were buying DVDs and starting their own collections, which was great because people had their own collection of physical media. They were dependent from, cable, because cable was becoming too expensive. And then streaming came along. People thought, I can have a whole library in my phone or my TV. I don't have to actually buy all these titles. And then they discovered that those titles weren't owned by people, they were just rented, and they would, once the license was up, they'd go, and then you'd lose your favourite show, or you'd lose your favourite movie, or they'd edit it because someone didn't like it, and then you'd end up with the edited version that is not the version you remember. So streaming revealed itself to be not the oasis that it appeared to be, and now some people are pulling back and, really collecting and caring about physical media, but a lot of people are just treating it as disposable and not caring that, they're going to be limited by what they have available to them at streaming. And some of their favourite shows may go, but they're not that attached to them. I think people, it's a lot more like more content, it's more disposable, it's not the same. So that's my experience with video stores and DVD stores, and now where we are now, where they're all gone, and now it's all just online, and the charm's gone, the experience is gone, and the reliability is gone.